We are just one day away from Notre Dame facing off against Pittsburgh. It's a 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. The game can be seen on NBC or Peacock. Appreciate you all for watching this video. Hit the thumbs up, of course, before we dive into Tyler Horka's 3 keys to this matchup and his score prediction for the contest. Tim Hyde is under the weather. We hope to have him on the post-game live show Saturday after the game, so make sure to join us for that. So let's dive into key number 1 with our blue and gold beat writer. Avoid a letdown. Listen, this is a Pittsburgh team that did beat Louisville, a team that Notre Dame lost to. Mike Goolsby described some of these Notre Dame afternoon games as, kind of a sleepy environment. You just want to avoid that. Avoid this letdown, Tyler.
Yeah, and even if the game's at 7:30, which it's not, we saw what happened kind of around the same time in the calendar against Stanford last year, where Notre Dame, against a vastly inferior opponent, just came out and laid an egg. So you don't want that to happen if you're the Fighting Irish this time around. But you also have to look at it this way. The last 2 times that Notre Dame has played in this stadium in South Bend, you had number 6 Ohio State at the time, who's now up to number 2 or 3 in the country. Huge game, massive game, college game day. That weekend was unlike anything that I've seen in my 3 years here covering Notre Dame football. And then just a couple weeks later, you have the reigning Heisman Trophy the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. USC, undefeated at the time, number 10 in the nation, another massive game. Big noon kickoff is here. Big noon kickoff, Fox Sports doesn't even televise the game, and big noon kickoff was here. It was a big deal. So you had to get up for those. This one, you haven't really felt this in a while. I likened it to me and Jack Sobel, my colleague at blueandgold.com. We do a buy-sell sort of article every single Thursday where we pick a prompt and we either buy it or we sell it. And my prompt this week was Notre Dame is going to be beating Pitt by at least 28 points at some point in this game. And my immediate we won't get to my score prediction because that's coming later, but I will give you this a little bit of foreshadowing. I kind of liken this to the Central Michigan game. And I think it might play out that way, where you're going into it, Notre Dame's better, way better. And when you get there in the game, Tobias Merriweather's catching a long touchdown pass, Chris Tyree's catching a long touchdown pass, that Notre Dame is better because you're seeing it transpire on the field. But Mike, what was the score at halftime of that game? It was a 7-point game. I think it could play out kind of that way. So if it does, avoid that letdown. Don't let that become a theme throughout 4 quarters.
Going back to that Pitt-Louisville game, Louisville was actually winning by a touchdown on the road at halftime, and then Pitt goes 24-0 in the second half. So, yeah, definitely avoid a letdown. I agree with that, the kind of the Central Michigan thing. Key number 2 to avoid a letdown. If Notre Dame doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to win by 20-plus points, in my opinion. And that's your second key here.
Yeah, if Notre Dame doesn't turn the ball over against anybody, they're in every game that we've seen all year, right? You look at the USC game, the last time Notre Dame was on the field, Notre Dame doesn't turn the ball over at all, turns USC over, 5 times, and you come away with the 28-point win. If you ask the coaching staffs, both of them, I know for a fact, Lincoln Riley, because I do every Sunday morning following Notre Dame's games, I do an article about what the opposing coach said about the game. And Lincoln Riley kept saying 5 turnovers, man, 5 turnovers. You can't win a ball game if you turn the ball over 5 times. I don't have the stats in front of me, but how many times did Notre Dame turn the ball over against Louisville, Mike? If you had to pick one thing that was the reason Notre Dame lost that game, it's because Sam Hartman threw 3 interceptions. I'm not sure if they fumbled, but three picks in the Louisville game was the difference in that game. So you're at home. You've got no reason to turn the ball over. Sam Hartman, no picks. Audric Estime, don't put the ball on the ground. Notre Dame should be good if it doesn't turn the ball over.
Key number 3, I mean, as we were, we're planning on this video, we're like, man, we don't think Pitt's a very good team. Their quarterback seems decent. Christian Veilleux is how you pronounce his name. Veilleux is from Canada. I believe it's a French name. We watched a video where he pronounced his name. So Christian Veilleux, even though it would not look like that, 6'4", 220 pounds, hasn't put up big numbers yet, but he's the quarterback of this team. There's no, Veilleux versus Jurkovec thing. Jurkovec, I believe you might see at tight end or just warming up the bench a little bit. But yeah, not a bad quarterback for the Panthers here, but tell us about him, Tyler.
Yeah, if you ended up at Penn State out of high school, you're obviously pretty talented. Mike, you said you remember seeing him at
He's
the
the
Elite
Elite
11,
11.
right?
Mhm.
Which is a
He was in
big
Tyler
deal.
Buchner's class.
Yeah, it's a big deal for high school quarterbacks trying to make it to the next level. So this is their guy right now, and they're investing reps in him. He's going to be starting at Notre Dame Stadium. Would have been cool. Honestly, it would have been cool to see Phil Dracovic start this game just because like we got denied from it last year, and he had the whole social media post. Like it was a storyline as much as people say it was or it wasn't. It's not happening again for Phil Dracovic with Pitt, but it is happening for Christian Veilleux. And the first start of his career against Louisville, that's the game that they won, obviously, big upset. He wasn't overly great, but he didn't do anything to lose the game. 12 of 26, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Last week against Wake Forest, which Pitt actually lost this game, 28 of 45. So they trusted him to throw the ball 45 times in the ball game. Some of those probably shouldn't have been thrown, but 302 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Yet to throw a pick as a starter. So the talent is there, and he's probably gaining confidence. Even in a loss last week, I think he's gaining confidence. So my key is don't let this guy beat you. Don't let a quarterback come into Notre Dame Stadium and all of a sudden look like Caleb Williams was supposed to be. Look like Caleb Williams against Notre Dame last year in Los Angeles. He didn't look like this year. So Notre Dame has the blueprint for stymieing an opposing quarterback. You got to do that with this guy.
I thought Kyle McCord played a pretty darn good game against Notre Dame, and Caleb Williams didn't. So, and who's the better quarterback? Caleb Williams. So, like, yeah, Christian Veilleux on paper might not be some dude, but like, or
on
maybe
a good
he
day,
is, right? Yeah, on a good day, like I thought Kyle McCord had, especially at times, could dice you up. So Notre Dame's got to, if they're going to bring pressure, you got to at least pressure their quarterback. So we'll see how this Notre Dame defense plays. Moving into Odd Shark time. Notre Dame, according to their analytics algorithm, what do you want to call it? Notre Dame 35, Pitt 24. Has the spread really gone up? Wow. It opened at 16 and a half. The spread's gone up to 20 and a half. That's a huge number. So over under at 44. That's a huge spread for the over under to be at 4. Man, so the spread moves up, but the over under drops from 47 and a half to 44 and a half.
Yeah,
that is kind of bizarre. And it's going to be nice and 50 degrees, right?
Yeah, it could even approach 60 degrees, I think. So the weather's not going to be too much of a factor unless it's windy. Obviously, you can always get that South Bend wind, but that score prediction there doesn't match up with the over-under either. I mean, they're hammering the over on that score prediction, right?
Yeah, they are. I'm kind of fascinated. So the line opened 16 and a half on October 22nd. So that's what, Sunday at 11:30. And then look at it moving up to even 21 points while the over-under drops. I'm not a big gambling guy, but to me, that would say just from like what you should do, what the sharp play is, would be the Pittsburgh 16 and a half. That fascinating there. But what I think doesn't matter. We're going to go to the expert here, Tyler Horka. What's your score prediction? What do you got for Notre Dame hosting Pitt on Saturday?
All right. So we just talked about how that spread is way too large, but I actually have Notre Dame covering that spread. And my score prediction is actually very close to that over-under. So Vegas knows something about what the total points is doing. I've got Notre Dame 34 and Pitt 10. I think Notre Dame wins by 24 points. Again, that's the exact same score margin that they beat Central Michigan by. But that game was a touchdown at halftime. So I think it might slog along for a little bit, but ultimately Notre Dame's better. Notre Dame has the better playmakers. Should be able to run the ball in the second half against Pitt. So, again, this may be like 21-7 after 3, and then Notre Dame tacks on a few more scores. Pitt says, hey, let's get the double digits and kick a field goal, something like that. Ultimately, though, with that Pitt number and this quarterback making his third career start, I just don't think they have the offense to go against a Notre Dame defense that looked very good last time out against USC. So it's a comfortable win. And I've got Notre Dame covering that very large point spread.
So there you have it, folks. Please hit that thumbs up before you get out of here. Subscribe to our channel, of course. Go to blueandgold.com for more preview content of this game, and make sure to lock into our YouTube channel here for the post-game show with myself, and cross your fingers a healthy Tim Hyde. Appreciate you all for watching, and as always, we will catch you next time.